秀。
Well, I was rummaging through my mom's house some more, and I found something that I wanted to show off before I throw it out. This is a game I invented when I was 16 years old. I don't think the whole thing will fit in the picture frame. If I back up a little bit. It's as far back as I can get. But anyway, that's the game board. Let's see if you can see. It says Power Economics, copyright 1971. So I would have been 16. Really interesting about this was it was so far ahead of its time. It was only played once. As you can see, at a time when all games were hex based, I used the square grid, and the way this worked was that you had your great powers. I think I can't even remember how many anymore. Good Lord. But all the turns were simultaneous, written down on paper, and there's numbered and lettered grids. So you would move your pieces on a piece of paper each turn simultaneously, however many players you had. It had armies, fleets, air units, submarine fleets, nuclear weapons. The whole thing was money based. There were various power centers which are marked. I don't know if you can probably can't see them in this LCD. I can't see myself, so I don't know what I'm pointing to. But each one of these things that you owned had a different value and would produce different amounts of money per turn, and you had to pay money for whatever units you wanted. Each unit had a different cost, and you would spend your money accordingly. And each unit had so much power. I believe the units were all equal in power. Of course, fleets operated only on water, and armies only operated on land, and fleets could transport armies. I don't recall how many movement factors each unit had. Fleets could also carry aircraft. Submarines were kept secret, but you had to write down the moves each turn and keep a record which you could show whenever you used a submarine fleet that you had indeed been honest about it. And submarines, fleets, what have you, could launch nuclear weapons as well as aircraft. And there were also ICBM units, so you could have ICBM units located in your territory. It's very interesting how similar this is to a game that came out in the 90s called Civilization by Sid and Meier, which I was an immediate fan of. Sometimes I think maybe I should sue the guy, but this had no concept of research like his game did, where you start out with in the Bronze Age or whatever. No, you start out in the Stone Age actually, and you do research each turn and you get progressively better weapons and what have you. This was a game that started in 1971 and was played until whenever. I suppose in general it would be played until there was only one player left, or an agreement or a accord was reached, and just end the game. In any case, it was so far ahead of its time it was basically unplayable. I had a bunch of other games that were playable, but They were destroyed in a fire at the house I was living in 1983. And this one, since it wasn't playable, was still at my mom's house, which is why it still exists. And I guess at this point I'm just going to throw it out, which is why I wanted you to see it before I do that. Still rather proud of the concept, since I was only 16 years old. And that was my game.